All right, I will start now. So, very good morning. My name is Chiang and my thesis title is Old Town Botanic Gardens. And this is a PJ Old Town, and I'm showing you some of the informal open space within Old Town, a hockey field, open field, and school fields. All of these they are informal open spaces, but then they couldn't identify the town's identity. And point number 2 is actually regarding educational institutions. And then the students actually, they are all confined indoors and learning nature through textbooks, which means that they are lacking some opportunity to engage with the nature and outdoor activity. And point number 3 is regarding transportation. And you can see that actually the southern edge of Old Town is bounded by KTM train tracks. But the closest station, which is the Jalan Temple station, is very far from the town center, and you need to illegally cross the tracks and takes 20 minutes to the town center. And that's why, and also within the local, it's already in the local structural plan that there's already a KTM proposal at the center. And I'm showing you the section 1 and 2 to show my site. And within here, there are like educational institutions, open spaces, transportation, caring homes, and temples. And here are some of the photos that are happening within the site. The site has been all fenced up, and there are religious practice here. Also, minor ponding issue, and link bridge, Rukun Tatanga cabin, and also a monsoon drain. All of these photos, it shows that the existing site is in a terrible condition, and it's actually in a semi-state of neglect and misuse. And all the points that I mentioned earlier, it comes to my thesis proposal of an Old Town Botanic Gardens, which is a shared commons in service of health, education, transportation, outdoor activity, immediate community, and neighborhood identity. And within the proposal, there are various anchor points such as the research center, KTM stations, link bridge, covered hall, community farm, and also some supportive commercial activities. And next, I'm showing you the existing site section. The site is currently a railway park and is sandwiched between a train tracks and residential lot. And this is a proposed. And actually the train tracks, they are producing a lot of noises and vibration. And by having a gardens in between, it will become a buffer. And this, the spine, it will become an edifice, and then I will explain it in details later. And this is the overall elevation, which is 1.4 kilometers in length. And taking a closer look into the elevation, you can see that the elevation varies, but the arrays of tree remains as the highest. It marks the peak of the elevation, and the other part of the elevations. And you can see that the bottom part is actually a spine, so it's a continuous covered walkway. And this is a concept sketches, and this is the spine module. And here comes my special study one, the spine modules. The roof, it can broke down into like 3 parts. First is a roof, and then the different design for different functions, such as rainwater harvesting, photovoltaic roof, flat roof. And going into the middle part is a steel structure that can convert into like gardens, exercise equipment, rainwater tanks, and raised walkway. And going to the ground, reading pot, meditation pot, bicycle, station, open gym, vertical connection, and some small businesses, direct reports, washroom, or even a botanic labs. And when building out the spine, it's actually it starts from the existing strip of land, and then grading the land, then having zoning and building up the spine, followed by analyzing the topography to demarcate the bioswales and planting the gardens, and finally it will become a shared commons for all. And I'm showing you the botanic garden, the overall plans of the botanic gardens. And the gardens, there are a variety of garden happenings within the whole site. And then it's according to the topography and the immediate site context. And the architectural intervention are sandwiched between the gardens. So taking a closer look, all the spaces, they are connected by the spine. And taking a closer look into the site, actually, the part A is where the station and the research center is located. I would also like to mention the new motorway linkage directly into Jalan Penchala to ease the traffic conflict at the Jalan Railway and Jalan Pasar junction. And this is a section cutting through the research center and the gardens, also the train tracks. And this is a central part B of the site. And that's why the Rukun Tatangka is located here and taking one of the empty lot. And there are temples here with a covered court to accommodate their activities. And section cutting through the gardens, the court, and also the ficus garden. And here, this is part C. Here, what's happening here is actually a large monsoon drain where I've proposed it as a stream garden. So it will become a filter for the water that collected from the Bukit Kasik area on the above. So before the water is discharged into the Klang River, actually it will be filtered before it's being discharged. And there's also a farm street located here for the orphanage and caring homes. And there's a eatery for the Mara College and also showing the existing temples, Jalan Temple section. And this section is showing the largest existing tree on site, which is the Bodhi tree in the center. And next, I will go into the station architecture. So these are the sketches of some of the ideas that I've been adopted when I'm designing my stations. And next, I will going into the ground floor plan. So what's happening here is actually I move out the ticketing area out from the station into the garden. So when you are buying ticket, actually, you will be buying ticket inside a garden and you feel like you are within a forest and you can hear the sound of the water and all the bugs and insects. And also I've introduced like indoor gardens to form a continuous experience of green. Either you are dropped off from the bus station or you are on board from the trains. And these are the staff area and also an eatery by the roadside and back of house and some of the supportive spaces. And I'm showing you the first floor plan. The first floor plan is mainly to show the new motorway linkage. It's a new connection from the existing link bridge, which channel directly into Jalan Penchala to reduce traffic conflicts. And here, this is a section cut through the station. And taking a closer look into it, the part A, it starts with a Jalan Railway, followed by bus drop off. And we go through a green buffer, you will enter the spine and a garden, then a gallery sandwiched between the greens, followed by an auto ticketing area. And there's a biostream. After you go through the biostream through a link bridge above, you will reach the station. And in the station, there are sitting area, walkway, indoor garden, and you will reach the waiting platforms. And next I'm showing you the axonometry. The axonometry A is actually showing the cut through of the section cut through of the spine and also the gallery. And B, it will be the auto ticketing area and also the link bridge. And these are the details, the spine joint, the chain link ceiling details, and also the steel cable joint. And next, axonometry C, it will be showing the cut off of the main facade of the station and the details, the roof gutter detail, green roof, frame of planter, how is supported by the steel structure and also the galvanized steel floor. And lastly, the axonometry D, the acrylic roof, shutter window, concrete joint, and also the recycled sleeper seat. Yes, so I will end my slide here. Thank you for listening. Thanks.
Thank you, Chiang. I think based on previous progress and interims, I would like to start with those who had attended them. Please, Mr. Yaakob Ming.
Yeah, Chiang, I think
Yes.
the progress is where we can see the results of how the whole scheme comes together well. Despite the smallest, I mean, in the architectural elements, but there is a high degree of complexity in the thinking at the detail level of how a single module could morph itself into various aspects in relating to the immediate adjacency of the site. I think the train station has seized the uniqueness quality of the site to capitalize on the experience. You talk about how the nature comes in and of course whereby the exterior actually becomes part of the exterior. So I have not much to say, but I think to congratulate you on a very successful endeavor. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. May I have Shubhra, please?
Yeah, Chiang-ha, I echo. I think, first of all, for the project that you're trying to do, I think your the nature of your drawings is very appropriate, because it really provides the viewer a sense of what it is that you're trying to do. So that is very successful and enjoyable, actually, more than even successful. I also want to commend you on the fact that you have really taken a true residue, which is this sort of, nondescript in between space between the neighborhood and a transportation line, which normally acts as a barrier and as a disruption between fabrics in the city. And you, through nature really and plants, softened it, made it truly into an inhabited threshold rather than a neglected one. So there are many wonderful things that are happening. And finally, I think to link it to transportation, this sort of a coming together of, the sense of arrival into the neighborhood through this wonderful park and experience, etc., is also, it elevates the entire neighborhood, because what a wonderful sense of arrival and departure you have provided to the neighborhood. So I just enjoyed the project. There were a lot of struggles, I think, in terms of justifying whether there's enough architecture or not, but I think at an urban level, it is a very sensitive sort of an intervention and a very transformative one. So thank you.
Thank you. I would like BC Ang to give some comments, because BC, you recall this site was the Dusun Banda, and there wasn't much planning of it, and now there's more planning in it. And what do you think about it, BC?
Thank you, Doc. Thank you, Chiang-ha. I enjoyed your
Thanks.
presentation. Looking at it at a macro picture, comparatively to, I think I saw also half a year ago, you've incorporated the train station, which was an important strategy, I think, and not only incorporating the train station, but the move where you mentioned you have made the ticketing on the external of the train station in the gardens itself. I think that's a very inspiring move, and I like that. And the level of details and the drawings that you're doing with regards to how the profile of the land, the type of trees, and the linkages to the neighborhood, I think they're all very sensitive and they're wonderful. Touching on your building, the modularity of the building, perhaps for me, when I saw the way that the building is done, perhaps there could be more thought on in terms of the material employed. I see a lot of steel. I noticed you did some ram earth. It's more of a feeling thing. How the botanical garden, how your building can merge into the landscape. That's the question. Or do you maybe don't want to merge into the landscape? Maybe that's your intent. But I would have preferred to see more of that dialogue. How the building can be very humane, very friendly in terms of material, in terms of even exploring further on timber and more on ram earth, less of steel, because plants don't really like steel. Plants, when it gets too hot, it just goes off. But unless the strategy is to say, I'm working with steel, but they are all under the canopy of a roof, so the steel don't get too hot, so plants can inhabit the steel. So these are maybe further things that you can look at. That's all from me.
Thank you for BC Ang's comment, which probably is to enhance further the structures, the choice of the structure and the construction and material aspect, which is Chiang-ha's special study focus. May I have some comment from Chu Peng, please?
Hi, Chiang-he. Thanks for the presentation. I think this has gone a long way, and I echo everyone's comment on the site sensitivity that you have demonstrated in more than just the drawings, the hand-drawn drawings all through and through. Also in the selection of the way the architectural expression is done, it is lightly perched on the site, which I do appreciate a lot. Perhaps you could also look into further detailing that with that in mind, that sensitivity of how it connects to ground, how it sits on the ground, how the joints meet each other, perhaps pin joint. Some of the brise soleil that you have introduced are rather heavy-handed, where they butt jointed, rather than, you know, being very light in the way that it's put together. So that's one of my comments. The other one is more of a suggestion. Rather than a single-use program that is introduced to every kiosk that you have designed, were there any opportunities that we can actually say the kiosk or the platforms that you have designed are used more than just that or more than? Were there an opportunity to perhaps say that there at night there are some night markets or the weekend flea market that could happen along the way? And then, you know, thereby creating more interest in that strip or the spine that you have created, then more than just a connection between KTM station. So that's my comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Chu Peng. Chiang-he, note that later you will maybe like to answer regarding the multiple use of your site. Well, I'd like to know from Dr. Azzam regarding the depth of investigation that Chiang-he, would you like to make any suggestions or feedback, please, Dr. Azzam?
I think Chiang has done reasonably well here. He's done a lot of detailing on not just the building construction structure, but also on the planting bit, you know, to make sure that the whole thing is convincing. Okay, to me, it does look like a very nice way of incorporating this urban, transportation infrastructure into the neighborhood. So it does read like a neighborhood train station, you know, at the end of the day, and it's really nice to have all these trees and parkland leading up to it. Yeah, my only thing is perhaps just like what B.C. Young mentioned earlier, you know, is the materiality of the structure. Perhaps, you know, timber or wood could be a bit better in certain locations. But other than that, you know, I think he's done really well.
Thank you, Dr. Asrul, or maybe A.R. Sarly?
Hello. Oh, sorry.
Go first. Go first. No problem.
Yeah. Hi. Chiang. Yeah, I just wish that just a suggestion that perhaps your architectural building a bit more bigger in the sense that it's currently this has been quite a trend. You know, this station is also being used to help communities around the area. To, you know, they can rent some of the spaces for them to sell stuff. You know, they're kind of small economy, you know, which they can generate their own income. That's number one. Number two is that I'm not quite clear on during peak hours how's the traffic go in and around on the ground floor, especially the one that is facing your landscape area. Yeah, I think overall I'm okay with that. Thanks.
Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Asrul. Dr. Sarly, yes, please.
Yeah, hi, Chiang. I really like your project actually, and I think it goes. It's very brave to be going against the grain, not just in terms of project that you have started to embark on, but also in terms of, you know, not going the conventional route of using computers and whatnot, which is admirable. And I think the depth of study is good. You have looked at a lot of details very thoroughly, and there's a lot of rigor in it. I think just to maybe to add another layer is the real life application of all this in terms of your modular spine. There is a lot of usage that you attribute to this modularity, like Botanic labs and like open gym. There is, of course, when you put it in the context of this actual site, there is a lot of real life issues that might affect, such as crime and vandalism, and perhaps there should be some preparation to address those kind of things. Yeah, that's all for me.
Thank
Great
you.
job.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sarly. We have about 10 minutes for Chiang to actually explain, in particular regarding the point that Chu Peng mentioned about whether there is a night, what are the night activities, is that the opportunities for the multiple use, and regarding the kiosks, you mentioned about the kiosks, and there are the other question is regarding Dr. Asrul's suggestion of the railway station perhaps could be bigger and to have some rental space. But I thought that you actually have some commercial and rental space based on what you have studied earlier that is more horizontally located across. But you have to explain this stuff so that our guests could actually understand this issue. There are a lot of comments regarding the joints and the construction, and there are comments about not only were you doing construction and material, you're also doing landscaping, and also the idea that your construction and material is to be sympathetic to plants. Okay, so maybe you can start replying those two questions, or maybe you want to ask further from the external critic to clarify further what they want to ask you. Go ahead.
Actually, for Chu Ping's comment, actually I haven't done on that part yet, but I think I will explain. I will expand the exploration for the coming portfolio review. Thank you, Chu Ping. And for Dr. Asrul, comment is actually like the spine. Actually, you can see that here there's really also some of like options for like small businesses. I mean the 3 meters spine actually 1.5 of it, 1.5 meter of it, it can actually like convert into like small businesses, so that you can be like have like random spots along the spine, and then you have like maybe have like ice kacang stores or like air terbu store or something like that.
Yeah, I think I can appreciate that. I think you make that the point. But on the ground floor, on the site plannings, is that you don't express that there are spaces in which you can generate some economy for the community, or you can rent spaces for people around those areas who want to sell stuff. For example, like
yeah.
So yeah, for example, like in Putrajaya, they make a couple of rentable garage stalls, and that 1 week is a certain number of family, and then the following week different numbers of family, and then they rotate again.
Thank you, Dr. Asrul. I think maybe in your boards or in your report, Chiang, you had studied the commercial aspect. In fact, you visited the Rukun Tetangga and presented your work to the resident association, and they were very happy with what you showed, and they were highlighting that perhaps the commercial would be nearer to the Mara vocational building towards that side because of the existing situation. But what Dr. Asrul said, that maybe you should also say what are the commercial activities here and how you can see these commercial activities, maybe the stalls, the nasi lemak, that makcik near the corner where she sells to the the motorcyclists, where is that particular makcik located, and what are the stalls that you are trying to do here specifically? Those are some of the things that maybe you well and good could just even go to Putrajaya and have a look at what Dr. Asrul is saying regarding the context of Putrajaya and the context of your Petaling Jaya Old Town. What is the context in terms of the old person, whether they can actually also sell their stuff away from, you know, because you have that link now between the railway station to the center of town. Maybe some of the congestion in that road could, you know, go and be selling their wares, you know, the fruit stall and so on that we know of that street. So maybe you can have a look at that.
All right.
And Chiang He, would you like to explain? You want to explain?
On what again? Sorry.
Do you have anything to explain regarding these topics that we've discussed towards the end?
You have a commercial space that you included near the linkway, you know, the last time, the makcik, where the makcik sell nasi lemak. I think it's not explained in that sense. It's near the TTN station, right?
Yeah, so here you can see that the yellow color, which is the eatery, is actually with the intention of keeping it by the roadside. Because when I go to the site, I see that actually there are already an existing business there, makcik selling nasi lemak and mee goreng by the roadside. So that's why I put that like by the roadside, and with the motorcycle parking besides it, so that actually when the people there are a lot of motors coming from the Taman Merah area from the south, and then when they are on their way to their work, actually they buy their breakfast with the makcik there. So I've intended to like maintain the existing business. So it's happening here.
Okay. Thank you, Chiang He. Maybe, you know, to please the department's requirement, you could emphasize more on structure and services details, and possibly even detail out your eatery as well as your railway station further in terms of the roof and how you have rainwater downpipe and all that, and how maybe your rainwater, could you calculate that, could actually help to go and assist with making your botanic garden, you know, the relationship between the built environment and the nature environment, how, you know, water collected on the roof could go into watering the plants or the affecting the rest of the of this. Maybe there is some details in terms of structure and services, and the construction and material could be much more accentuated in terms of the solutions regarding human and the nature together. So that would be much more impactful regarding what you could provide for in the final boards. So any other points that the external critic would like to remind Chiang He so that he will be more focused for his portfolio review?
Maybe just a minor point. I think in your Chiang He, in your explanation, there's a lot about activities, right? And I'm just wondering if there is something about the biodiversity there that your landscaping and your building itself does in a way contribute to the biodiversity. For example, the kind of choice of plants that you put in place, other than being edible, are there choices that's because it's replacing certain threatened species or increase certain kind of habitat to attract certain desirable like butterflies or birds onto the site in which in the past they may be there, or maybe they are being threatened by, so you are creating a new haven for them. So just wondering whether such thoughts have been integrated on your landscaping as well as your building design, in which how the building could while the landscape regenerate, the building plays a part of allowing animals to roost, etc., etc. So just wondering if there are such thoughts that go into your scheme.
Yeah,
I did like to answer that.
I did on study on the different kind of gardens, and they are located according to the plants, the suitability, and according to the site condition, and also the immediate neighborhood. For example, happening here is actually I've proposed these exotic gardens. Here is because of the site condition, which is in a longer width as compared to the other side of the site. And then this part of the site is a more secure side of the overall site plan. And also the water garden is due to like according to the current monsoon drain, I converted into a bioswales. And
okay,
together,
thank you. Thank you, He. Anything else, He? What was the last sentence you wanted to say?
It's an explanation about the gardens, different gardens.
Okay, He, we can also show your drawings in terms of this biodiversity issues to a biodiversity expert and to see whether you can elevate your work even further with regard to both not only flora but fauna in terms of the animals or insects, bees. And this could be an interesting thing where, you know, that you could actually, you know, there is still 1 week or whatever, and you can still get much better details and justification of your project elevated to a certain degree. Yeah, yeah, He?
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thanks.
So with that, 1 minute, anything else? Okay, so thank you very much for everyone regarding He's presentation. And now we're coming to, we want